Have you ever started an IT project with clearly defined scope, but few months later, you are delivering something completely different? That is scope creep. And here's the thing, scope creep is not the problem, but uncontrolled scope is. Hi, I'm Deepak Panchal. Welcome back to Delivery Decode. Today I'm going to share one real enterprise project example and show you how I managed project scope when requirements started growing beyond the original agreement. I was working on a data analytics platform for one of my enterprise clients. At the beginning of the project, scope was actually quite clear. We had a defined number of reports the platform needed to support. So we had our baseline. Then we started our discovery sessions, and that's when things started getting changing. One team said, we need this report. Then another request came in, then another. And suddenly, what we were being asked to deliver was much larger than the original scope that we originally agreed. Now, this is where a technical project manager needs to be very careful. Because the answer shouldn't simply be, no, this is out of scope. And also, it shouldn't be, yes, we will add it. The right question is, what is the impact of this change? The first thing I did was go to the SOW. I checked what was originally agreed. And in that document, number of reports were clearly defined. So we had our baseline to work from. Before you argue about the scope, go back and check your agreement. Instead of handling every new request informally, I put a change management process in place. So now every request went into one scope change and enhancement register. One single visible list showing efforts, cost, timeline, impact, and the status of each request. So if a stakeholder ever asked, what happened to my request? I could point them to enhancement register. So this way, nothing get lost, nothing get absorbed silently. First, the new request was logged. Then we performed a technical impact analysis. Was it a minor change or a major change? Then we looked at the efforts, cost, and schedule impact. If any change had a commercial impact, it also went through a commercial review. And finally, appropriate leadership made the decision, and every request had a clear status: approved, rejected, deferred, pending. Now here's the important part. We didn't reject every change. Minor changes which could reasonably be accommodated were added to the project. But, and this matters, even minor changes were only accommodated if they collectively stayed within our agreed tolerance. Because small changes can add up. And that's why every change still went through the change management process. And what about major changes? We deferred major changes for the next phase. And that is the biggest lesson I have learned from this project. Scope management doesn't mean saying no to every change. It means making it visible, understanding its impact, and taking the right decision before committing to any change. So whenever a new requirement comes in, ask yourself these 4 questions. What exactly is changing? Why it is needed? What is the impact on efforts, cost, and timeline? Are we willing to move something else to accommodate this request? Because here's the problem. If scope increases but the timeline stays the same, cost stays the same, resources stays the same, but something has to give. So next time if someone comes to you with a new requirement, don't immediately say no and don't immediately say yes. Just do these four things: log it, access it, understand the impact, and make the decision. Because managing scope doesn't mean stopping change. It means making every change a conscious decision, right? And that's how you keep scope creep from controlling your project. Have you ever had a project where the scope kept growing? Tell me about it in the comment section. If you are working in IT delivery, project management, program management, technical project management, please subscribe to this channel. And that's the today's delivery decoded.